Okay, here we are in Brevard, North Carolina, in the backyard on the porch. Got rained out. It's July 4th weekend, 2008.
Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon. Okay. All right, and there's Kathy, my older sister, and the eldest, Judy. And this is your Aunt Kathy and Aunt Judy, right? And I'm Mom, me. And we're going to try to recall memories of our childhood.
And your mother's listening, so you better be nice.
Yeah, I always remember Grandma saying that. Be nice, girls, be nice. But my earliest memory of, is probably about when I was 4 years old, moving to Cranford, but you may recall things earlier than that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but I remember the day she came home from the hospital. I do. 74 Ann Street, and we lived on the first floor.
Which would be Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, and Grandma and Grandpa Krisiak lived upstairs, and Mom and Dad came in holding a screaming,
That would be me.
her. And I remember Kathy and I looked at each other and thought,
Oh, shit.
what the heck is going on? But somebody thought ahead, and we got presents.
You did?
And I think it was coloring books or something that, here's your present, and this is Mary, your new baby sister. And we were really thrilled because she just didn't stop crying. And that was our first time of Mary. So that was obviously June
June of 59.
59.
Now, do you have any earlier memories than that? Because you would have been 4 years, about 4 years old.
Right. Well, again, you look at pictures. I remember being at the beach in Belmar. That, Mom, who had the house in Belmar? You remember that connection?
That's
Grandpa Krisiak's cousin,
Tomaszewski's.
Tomaszewski's.
The lady who did the cooking, that was his first cousin.
His first cousin, the Tomaszewskis, had a house. I think
more
it
than a house. It was a vacation rental place. People came in and they rented rooms for the weekend.
now they call them bed and breakfasts. Back then it was probably a boarding house, and it had a outdoor kitchen, and we would spend the day at the beach, and then
They had a big formal dining room, and
Right.
everybody who rented the room would come in at a certain time and sit down and have dinner.
I remember that too, but I guess we did that for a period of years then.
not too long, because then
Too long?
when Grandma bought the house in Wildwood, that kind of,
Grandma bought the house in Wildwood 1956.
59.
What year did Grandma buy the house in Wildwood? I want to say it was 56.
It's as old as Mary.
59.
So 59. So we must have visited Belmar
Probably a few times
a few
after.
times after.
Very
and that's
fond
what I-
memories. Belmar is much different today. You know, the $1 million houses. And this is before Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. This was very sedate. We were talking last night about some memories, and we remember our Grandpa Krisiak. We would be on the beach in our bathing suits, all sandy and slathered up with suntan lotion, and Grandpa Krisiak would come to the boardwalk in a 3-piece suit.
Stand on the boardwalk and just wait there.
Yeah, right.
Not much of a boardwalk though. It was just a few stores, no rides.
That was our grandfather.
There were rides across the street for little kids.
Yeah, but it wasn't on the boardwalk.
So Kathy, what's your earliest memory?
I guess when Johnny came home from the hospital.
Which was when?
It was
62.
September.
September 62.
And by then, we had already moved to 48 Kazoo Street in Newark. So back then, Mom and Dad moved into, because Grandma and Grandpa had a three-story apartment on Ann Street. So Grandma and Grandpa lived on the middle floor, the Spasabecks, right? There was a renter on the third floor, and Mom and Dad and us, we lived on the first floor. But it must have been when you came along, things were starting to get a little tight.
And her
I don't
saying
know.
about
Do you-
diapers hanging in the kitchen.
Do you remember
so-
why we moved from Ann Street to Kazoo Street? What was the,
From, Anthony Kazoo Street.
cause
Well,
why?
cause grandma moved out.
Cause Grandma
Yeah,
moved
sure.
out.
Jenny moved to her house.
Yeah, Chacha Jenny and Uncle
There was
Leo.
room there, plus it was
Right.
warmer. They had steam heat where I had to rely on just a stove in the kitchen.
Yeah, we had the 48th Kazoo Street was a better, warmer,
Better
just a bit, yeah,
apartment.
bigger, much bigger backyard. But something I remembered about Ann Street, even though it was very, very urban and in the city, Grandpa had a grape arbor that went down one whole side of half of the backyard. He had rose bushes, and really a very small but a very pretty garden. And under that arbor, at least for his birthday, which I think is July 19th, he just invited like everybody he knew, and there was food, beer, and lots of. It was a big event.
And I remember going back to visit them, or going and visit them, and I don't remember living there. And I do remember the grape arbor and the garden. And the basement having a dirt floor.
Right.
The alleyways in between the homes were so, small, so narrow that all you had to do is open up the window and knock on the next door to say, hey, you're not gonna have some milk or something, just pass it back and forth to the, alleyway.
Now Uncle Joe also lived in Newark, but at the other end of town, North 11th Street. He tells a story, because he lived in a two-family also. They must have lived on the second floor because the alleys were so small that you could shimmy up, put your back against one house and put your feet on another and work your way up the house, and he would go to the second floor and scare his mother. Joe, you get down. You're not supposed to do that. That's what he did.
So you both started school in when the family still lived in Ann Street.
I went to kindergarten at Ann Street School.
It was a public school.
Public school, Ann Street School. I remember the teacher being very pretty. Lots of kids. Remembered one of the kids. This was the time when birth defects were coming out for some drug, and kids were coming out, being born with like deformed hands. And we had a kid in our class who had that. I remember we were always very nice to him because he couldn't hold the crayon the regular way. And then when we moved to Kazoo Street, St. Benedict's was right around the corner, and St. Benedict's had a school. So I went first grade to second grade to St. Benedict's. So Sister Mary Catherine was a nun, taught me for first grade, and Miss Dozer was my second grade teacher. Now back then, this was the beginning of the Cold War, so this is 60 and 61, Kennedy, Khrushchev, and all that kind of stuff. There were, and I remember this, 60 kids in my first grade class, and I remember doing the atom bomb stairs.
Yeah,
where
the
they
You went to
shot-
the hallway and you-
shelters.
Yeah, I went
Sure.
under your desk, and that only
Hands
happened
over your
if I-
head. That would
right.
save you from that E-bomb.
That it would, but went to
Something
St.
to do anyway.
Went to St. Benedict's, and Kathy went there for a little bit, right, Kath?
Not too long,
Yeah, but
I had a
she-
black
she
nun,
ran
or at
away
least I was
from
told I ran away during recess and I hid out in the backyard because
This was
I didn't.
kindergarten?
This was kindergarten, because I had a black nun that I was deathly afraid of. And the stories goes that recess came and Kathy escaped and hid in the backyard underneath the grape arbor.
we were little, we didn't, even though we lived in Newark, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of minorities in my recollection. We had a little boy next door who was Portuguese. Yeah. 'Cause he lived in the basement. I always thought that was, what was his name? I don't remember. I'll think of it. But the family lived in a 2-story house, but they lived in the basement. They rented out the other two. That's just what they did.
Yeah, when I started kindergarten, I went just a half day kindergarten. Did you have half day?
Yeah.
Or was it still half day?
And then first grade was full day. And then,
I didn't start kindergarten until '64, which we were already moved to Cranford. By that time, that was
Right.
60.
but we forgot Johnny
Well, he was born
in 62.
two.
September
And
of 62.
were we in Cranford yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not till, it was his first birthday, which was in September. I remember we went to Grandma's house in Wildwood, and Chucha Jenny, and I remember Debbie saying, that's cousin Debbie, oh, I put the coffee cups in the hooks in the, we were down in Wildwood. And then we came up Labor Day weekend, yeah, and then school started right away. So they were trying to get the house ready before the 4 of us came, and then school started and all that stuff.
Johnny's first birthday, there was a big flood in the basement, and they were like, "Oh my God, brand new house." That's when they put in the sump pump in the basement on Oak Lane. Everybody was going downstairs, and they were like, "Shh, don't tell Grandpa," you know, because they gave him the loan.
So we moved to
buy the
Cranford in
house.
'61.
No,
63. 63.
Johnny's first
Right.
birthday.
Oh, first, okay, 63.
Johnny's first birthday. Labor Day, Johnny first birthday, and then we were talking yesterday, that's when President Kennedy got shot, that same year.
Right.
I was in 3rd grade, you were in 2nd grade, and then you were, do the math.
4 years old.
4 years old, so
Yeah, I was
you're,
4 years
you're
old.
still home, and, yeah.
I think I remember moving there. Again, it could just be stories, hearing, right? But I do believe I remember moving to Cranford, and I remember going, of course, having the woods behind the house. And
That was cool,
going
right, that was very
back
cool.
and building forts and playing
Right.
there and spending
Oh, do you
a lot of
remember the time that Grandpa Zborski cut down the tree in the backyard?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Freaked Mom out.
Why did he cut down the tree?
Because we had so many trees, it was so.
Well, the people who lived in the house
dark.
before us had half of it was macadam for basketball, and half of it was grass, and Mom never liked that part. And slowly she took the macadam out,
There's that built-in fireplace all over the
built-in fireplace, and then there was a tree that had a fork. And Mom didn't drive at that time. And I remember everyone was complaining how dark the kitchen was. And she went to the store for something. She must have been shopping. And I remember Grandpa saying, "I'm going to cut down that tree." And he did. And I remember Mom coming home and, "What did you do? You could have hit the neighbor's house." Oh. And for a long time, it had the trunk that was like this high. Because I remember we even put a wooden table on it, and that lasted, I don't know for how long. But yeah, you saw the tree, needed cutting, cut it. And that was before the houses were on Ridge Street.
Right, because that wasn't until much later.
Right. So we all went to elementary school,
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt School, because St. Michael's was really far. That was downtown.
And we had to wear dresses or skirts. We weren't allowed to wear pants back then.
Unless it was very, very cold.
And then
Our
you were allowed
pants
to wear them
underneath your-
going to school, but when you got to school, you had to take them off.
Oh yeah,
We had
They
coat
called them
closets.
leggings, yeah.
We had coat closets, so we had, because you had all your boots and your hats and gloves and coats.
And you
to
walked
hang
home
up.
for lunch. You went home for lunch. You didn't stay at school. You went home for lunch. Not a whole lot of after-school activities at Roosevelt. But Roosevelt has a song, which I will not sing.
Okay.
But
You're the
thank
only
you.
one that
There's a song.
learned it, apparently.
Yes,
'Cause
yes.
I don't think I ever learned
My
that.
high school reunion, there was a bunch of us from Roosevelt who
Recall the song, okay,
Right.
good.
And then we went to Orange Avenue Junior High, which was really
The new school.
a few
Which we
blocks
also
away.
walked to.
It was very close. And that was different because in elementary school you had the same teacher for every grade, and then in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, which was Orange Avenue, you had a different teacher for every lesson, every class.
I can't think of anything that stands out
Well, that's when the Cranford pool came in too. There was the community
The
pool.
community pool.
Yeah, we spent when we weren't down the shore or at the playground, Parks and Rec. We went to the Orange Avenue pool, and that was always a lot of fun. And of course, you walked to that.
We walked everywhere.
We walked everywhere.
That or bicycles.
Well, that wasn't.
It wasn't any big deal, right?
Yeah,
no.
everybody did.
Downtown was about a mile.
Right.
We walked there.
Brown's
to
Variety
Brown's.
Store.
Yeah, Five and Dime.
Bell's drugstores where you got perfume. What was the name of that
Cher's,
clothing?
Dr. Cher's drugstore, he still had a soda fountain there.
What was that clothing store across from
Can
there?
Can.
And Shapiro's, where you got $5 Levi's.
Cranford was a cool hotel.
I remember it had the Rollway River, was not too far away, which we had to cross going to high school, which we also walked to, and the Rollway
Oh,
flooded.
Dad drove us to school.
Not all the time, only when it was
I
really
didn't
cold.
get driven to school.
Oh, I
Rollway
drove to
River
school a
would
lot.
freeze over and we would always go ice skating
That's
on
right.
the river. We went canoe riding on the
Canoeing
river.
on it, yes. Did go ice skating on it a few times, yeah.
It flooded a few times.
And it flooded a few times.
We all had to get shots one year because the floods were so bad and the water was
How do you
contaminated.
have, well,
We all had to go to school and everybody, they lined up and we all got shots.
With the shots of the sugar
sugar cubes. That's our
I remember sugar cubes.
But for what?
I thought it had to do with the flood, but
I know, but
The reason behind, I don't know the reason behind it. But everybody in town had to do it.
and that happened a few times. And it probably still happens.
Yeah, they
So I graduated from high school in 73, 74, and
77.
77.
And your Uncle Johnny not till 81. And I was long gone by then. So I didn't see him even graduate.
Graduation was at the football field down off the Parkway. So many kids, it was outside. Hot, muggy, sticky. Was yours outside too?
Okay, all were there. Well, yeah.
We were involved in the CYO at the church.
Went on ski trips.
We did that play, the
Crucible.
Crucible
And we won, that's right, I forgot about that. We
Yeah.
won the,
for the county.
Kathy Kelly, Chris Schneider.
That was high school.
That was
No,
high
we were in
school.
high school.
That was
We
high
were
school.
involved
So
in
high school,
CYO.
yeah.
Spent summers down the shore.
Every summer down the shore, which was great.
Grandma's
And
house.
the Wildwood Boardwalk was the best. Maurice Pier, Daddy would always get the extra tickets from I don't know who, but he always got tickets and we always got on the rides.
Cape May was always fun. Didn't go to Atlantic City because that was before all the casinos. That wasn't even there yet.
They had the amateur night.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I got
Mhm.
hog-tied into singing "Playmate, Come Out and Play with Me."
That was that wild too.
That was in Wildwood, yep. And I won a box of salt water towels. That was my big prize.
Do you still remember it now? Come on, sing a few bars.
Come out and play with me. My dolly has the flu. Ooh, 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 ooh. Slide down my green barrel. Climb up the cellar door. And we'll be jolly friends forevermore. Church of Caroline was in the audience. She stood up. She gave me a standing applause. Everybody else
She
was like,
was?
good, yeah.
I didn't know.
I remember that. We went there a lot.
And how old were you when you did that? Do you have any?
Oh, I must have been 7 years old.
If that took a lot of guts to get up in front of a lot of,
There was an audition. I remember there was an audition, and Mom dragged me to the audition, and there were lines and lines and lines of people, and Mom said, we stood here for hours. She's going on.
because there were kids who could do cartwheels and,
Play the organ.
I don't know if there was a prize or anything.
Yeah, there was money prizes.
And Grandma would make pizza
La pizza pie.
She's a very good
all
cook.
the time. Regalkis, pierogies.
Somehow, for some reason, she always knew exactly when we were going to walk in the door, because that's when it came out of the oven, piping hot.
Rip Off Angie was around the corner. That was a little
Convenience store, corner store we walked to. We get the best Greenfield donuts.
From Philadelphia.
right. All the news came from Philadelphia, not from New York, because we were closer to Philly. People talk different in Philadelphia, different accents, so that was always fun to listen to.
When I
It
was
was
16,
hurricanes, the hurricanes, remember?
when I was 16 years old, I finally got my working papers and I was able to do babysitting at the hotels. And I thought, woo, I was making a lot of money, 50 cents an hour, but if they came home after midnight, it went up to 7.5 cents an hour. Big bucks. Really big bucks. One year I was a chambermaid. I hated that. I hated that.
To this day, I always keep the motel room pretty picked up because I helped you one day and thought, this is hard work. Well, they left it really messy. It was the Granada
Granada, yeah.
down on Wildwood Crest, and the people left pizza boxes and dirty plates. It was awful. Made no effort. So somebody had to clean it. That was us. Well, this is awful.
Did you get paid more than 50 cents an hour for that
I
job?
believe it was
Yeah.
$1 an hour.
$1 an hour. Woohoo. Well,
I
a dollar
still was
went
able-
further than it goes today.
I
that's
was
for
still
sure.
able to
Judy, what about
save
time
money
at
and
Susan Walsh's house
buy a
in
car when I was
Florida?
17
yeah.
years old. I bought my first car. I bought a red Vega hatchback. Best car.
Because
This was my first car. It was red.
all of us did babysitting.
Sure. I think I started at 75 cents an hour.
I remember babysitting once for the little Aldridge boy, and he ran away from me, and he ran into the woods, and he went right into a beehive.
Yes, sir.
And I had to go in and get him. And we did, because he was stung all over the place, and he just froze. He had big welts on him, and I
Oh,
had
I
big
didn't know
welts
that.
on me.
I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Pulled them out of there.
So what did you do?
Pulled him out of the beehive.
And then what did you do?
I brought him home, and at that time his mother was there, and she took him, and I went home.
You must have had a few stings yourself.
I had him all over the place, on the eyelids, in the ear, all over, all over.
Which kid was this?
The youngest of the Aldriches, I don't remember your name.
The one whose neck
Maybe
had all-
Wayne, yeah, the one
Yeah.
who had who was one with the crooked neck.
Well, Mom just reminded me of the Susan Walsh incident. The Walshes lived across the street, and they had, I think, 4 kids at that time. And it was Tom and Susan Walsh. I think I was gonna be with them like all day and all night. So this was lunch, dinner, bath, getting them ready to go to bed. So this was a long day, and I had asked Mrs. Walsh if I could have my friend Linda Von Tempo come with me because it was gonna be a long day. Oh, sure, sure. And making hamburgers for dinner and just pop them in the oven and really easy, So we're having a fine. Everything went fine, and all of a sudden we're making the hamburgers and grease fire. There's flames coming out of the oven. Just you're watching the kids, and oh my god. And it's not your house. You don't know where anything is. Trying to remember. Well, yeah, we called the fire department. Baking soda or hot. What happened was they had a roast the night before, and she had left the broiler pan in the oven. Didn't take it out, so when you turn the oven on, the grease caught fire.
When are we gonna eat? It's almost 7:30.
Well, maybe we're not. I know you
I
bought
have
steak.
steaks there. Yeah, you better have them tomorrow then.
Eventually, we'll figure it out. We could crank the oven out. Well, anyway, we called, and there was no 911. It was
Right, it was before.
rotary phone, and the fire department came. It was a good thing because there was black smoke all over the house, and it would have ruined the furniture and the drapes. And they bring these big
But the
fans.
kids were safe, you got the kids out.
Yeah.
It's a good thing Linda was with you.
Right, Linda helped me with all of that, and the Jacobson kid, Bonnie, and was it Greg?
Greg chickens.
Oh, get up on top of the fire engine, we'll take a picture of you. And I hung my head in shame for months. Oh, I heard you made some really good hamburgers. But they took it really well. What else you want to talk about? Happy childhood. I mean, we didn't have major illnesses, very little broken
Very
bones.
fortunate that way.
We got to see fun places,
I remember Johnny having to get his stomach pumped once, though.
oh yeah.
Turpentine, because we didn't watch him.
Yeah. But again,
Oops.
but outside of that,
Other than that, yeah,
I think everybody.
pretty normal, well-rounded. Right, Don?
I want to hear more about the turpentine story.
Turpentine story.
He
okay.
was little.
He was like 3.
Yeah, he was 3, so I was 5. I don't remember
I
much
do.
about it, but the
I-
ambulance coming, and then did they take
No,
him
there
or
was-
they
there was
pumped
no
him?
ambulance.
They
Oh,
rushed
nope,
him
no.
to the
How did he get
hospital.
He went right to the hospital.
Okay.
They were beeping the
Yeah.
horn, and Mom
By
had
then
the
we
white-
had the fence around the backyard, and I remember, you're in charge, you gotta watch these kids. And there was a bunch, because there was always neighborhood kids around. So it was us and a bunch of
It's
others.
tough being the oldest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of responsibility.
The garage door was open, and the turpentine, we must have been painting, well, not me, Mom, Dad, whoever, was painting. They put turpentine in an old sherbet container. This is why they tell you don't put things in containers that it's not for. And Johnny looking at, oh, I know what that is, gulp.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were in the backyard, and I think that there was a gate that closed, but didn't he
Yes.
climb up on top of the
garbage cans and opened up the gate.
and went out that way? 'cause the
Knowing
gate was still
Johnny, that
closed. Yeah.
probably could have happened. I don't remember. But somehow Mom realized that he had done what he did, and I remember.
Or they
Mom,
thought that he did because it covered his mouth.
yeah,
Right.
she didn't drive. She grabbed him, and I'm not even sure if Dad was home at
No,
that
I don't
point.
believe Dad was home. I think one of the
But I
neighbors
remember
took him.
she ran over to the Walsh's house, and somebody didn't have the car, and it was Mr. Aldrich. Threw him in the car with Mom, and they just, hit the horn, going through lights to. What is that, Muhlenberg Hospital?
Yeah,
I
Muhlenberg
don't
Hospital. That was
think
the only
Union-
hospital in the
yeah,
area
and
at
that
the
was,
time.
and now Muhlenberg is closed. I don't know if you knew that.
Not yet.
Not
It's on
yet.
the verge of
Yeah.
in a few weeks.
After like 150 years, and they did public
That was
stuff.
miles away, miles.
Right, yeah.
Plainfield, miles
And this
away.
is before 911 and that stuff. So yeah, that was probably the most medically trauma.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than
That's
that,
good.
yeah, it was good.
Alright,
Okay.
yeah,
We've got steaks to grill because
Yes.
it's 7:30.
indeed. And we'll continue
This
with,
was fun, yeah.
with grandma again, some other time.
Okay.
Right.
See ya. Fade to black.
That's a wrap.
It's black. Okay, so I'm
Like
taking.
Jack was saying,
you can
lunch,
shut it
back
off
in
now.
10 minutes.
Cut.
Are we eating again?